I started listing about 18 transgressions that this Jubilee and this particular president has actually committed against the Constitution.
All right, including the one recently with the Tunoi Tribunal and the flip-flopping on that. Would you like to respond to the president?
Before he responds, I want to correct this.
Okay.
The problem in Kenya has never been about constitutionality. It's been about constitutionalism, the culture to enforce laws.
Okay.
That is the crux of the matter. It's not
All right,
about constitutionality. We have a lot of constitutional laws being made every day by lackluster parliament, like the 11th parliament we have. The question is about whether we can actually live the spirit and letter of those.
Let's let Peter respond to that. Thank you.
We followed, of course, the discussion earlier before we came in, and so I don't think I want to go too much into the issue about whether, you've asked me about the Tunoi case, for example. I think in that instance, the point is the public encountered a conversation between the executive and the Judicial Service Commission. That is what they encountered. That, within the bounds of what was required in terms of tribunal, it was formed, right? And so the issue of, and I didn't want to start going to the particulars, but in that particular instance, and I would encourage us to be a bit more diligent. That particular communication, I know the one you're referring to, that has been the subject matter of discussions, said, I propose, or we propose the following. What is a proposal? Obviously, it means there's a conversation going on. And obviously, after that proposal was made, a conversation happened. And the president then took the decision, said, fine, we hear you, then this is a tribunal form.
No.
I think that let me jump in right there. And I actually do not envy Kariuki, because he is in an enviable position, having to defend things that actually cannot be defended.
Exactly.
I think that it's important that the president understands who he is. Right? He is the head of state, and he cannot afford to flip-flop on matters constitutional, like the issues that have been raised. Particularly, when we talk about the violation of court orders, like the instance with the police recruits, you remember his speech, what he said, I am ordering them to report to Kiganjo, and I will take personal responsibility, which means that a discussion had been had by his advisors, obviously, where he was told, hey, you know what, you can do this in a security situation, which goes back to the issue of the rule of law. The president must understand, number one, he does not rule by fiat. He does not rule by the will of an individual. He must rule within the confines of the law and the constitution, which gives him the powers to hold the office that he holds. That is number one. Number two, the president cannot be seen to not know what he's doing. That's why he has advisors. It makes the president look bad when statements are issued by the office of the president or by the chief of staff of the president, and then he goes back on the word, and it looks like the president is not on the ball.
Yvonne, there's no statement was issued. Let's be clear about this. There's no statement issued. This is a letter, a communication from the chief of staff to the chair.
But in that letter, the chief of staff
made a proposal,
which many say was not constitutional, because the president did not have any leeway within the constitution.
It wasn't a proposal, Yvonne.
It wasn't.
It wasn't a proposal. The letter was with some finality.
It did have
that we cannot appoint a tribunal because, and this is the mediocrity of the whole thing, that because Justice Tunoi is fighting another case in the Court of Appeal about his age. Totally unrelated issues. And in fact, let me correct you. Let me correct Peter.
I do not want to go into this.
We will go into it. Because it's important.
I wish we could produce it here.
Hold on a second.
And the last paragraph of that
can I explain something?
Is a proposal.
First of all, let's not mislead Kenyans that this language you're using, calling there was a conversation between the public and whoever. No. The Constitution at Article 168, Clause 5 is absolutely clear that once JSC concludes over a matter and finds a judge incompetent or whatever the case may be, the president shall, that is the language the Constitution says, shall. But the president, even apart from flip-flopping, on that issue. He even made another mistake. He appointed somebody who is not even qualified to be a judge.
And we have been told.
And we have been told.
That has already been canvassed.
But Yvonne,
yes.
you know, the matter here
Ladies,
is
gentlemen,
this.
yes.
The matter
I'd like
here
us to
is
finish our
this,
conversation.
you know, that the president cannot be seen
Yes.
to not be knowing what he is doing.
All right, and I think that point is well
despite
made.
advisors like Peter being by his side.
Okay.
The only saving grace I can say is, you know, that advice doesn't have to be taken. So we will assume that the advice
We'll
is
assume
well.
that he gives.
It is good to have the benefit of doubt. However,
So is that the case? Are you giving
We'll assume that he advises him well.
what is it? Do you plead the fifth? Is it the fifth or sixth?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like us to finish our conversation on constitutionality, where we are, and moving ourselves forward. And I'll give each of you a minute to just summarize where you think we are and where we need to go. I'm told it's even 30 seconds. So I'll start with you if you can be really fast. Where are we? Where do we need to go?
I think, one, the spirit and letter of this constitution has not been implemented. Certainly not by this administration, because in my honest opinion, they don't believe in it in the first instance. They swore to defend a constitution that clearly from their conduct and character and the way they do it, they are actually violating it every day. So we are doing very badly in terms of implementing the constitution. My saving grace is this: at least they have not attempted to amend this constitution. They have tried to undermine it through legislation, through policy pronouncement, and the rest. The constitution is still intact. For me, what Kenya needs going forward is a complete change and overhaul of leadership in this country. This current administration and even the opposition, for me, they are not an option for Kenya going forward in terms of saving this constitution.
All right, I'll be a little political. Are you the solution for that? Are you running for president?
Third Way Alliance will definitely present a different narrative for Kenya.
Will you be running for president?
That I will confirm with
your supporters. Let's have Daisy very quickly.
I think that it's not too late. I think that the president still can save his face. I think that there remains a lot that needs to be done. First and foremost, the president needs to show us that he is committed to upholding the constitution, and he needs to implement the two-thirds and lead from the front. We need to see the political will towards the rule of law and the basic constitutional principles. And I think that Kenya is headed, right now we are not headed in the right direction, but the president actually does hold the key towards reining in this country. He needs to deal with corruption very beyond the words, you know, and we need to move. He needs to stop the talk and walk that talk. He's given us enough platitudes. We want to actually see action, particularly on the two-thirds.
Okay, Peter has taken a bit of a beating over the last few weeks over how he seems to be handling matters. Assurances to Kenyans tonight?
Including admitting that we are stealing from each other.
I think you may agree on that. Very quickly, Yvonne, I would not agree with some elements of what my two colleagues have said, and some I do agree with them. The point is to perfect our democracy, and I'd like to emphasize this: it is not going to be a 5-year, a 10-year job. The contestations we see in our society are about us, and about us pursuing our destiny. And these are not just empty words. I am confident that there are people like myself, like Ekuru, like Daisy here. We are Kenyans. Unless we are saying we are ourselves are not willing and able to reach these things, I can confirm we are, and I am sure this administration will deliver.
I wish they could even deal with post-election violence first before. Then we can believe that actually they can deliver.
Dr. Ekuru Aukot, who's from the Third Way Alliance team leader. We also have Peter Kariuki, who's the President's advisor on governance, as well as Daisy Amdany, who's from the National Women's Steering Committee. Thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you.
And I will be taking a look at your feedback in just a short while. You're watching Checkpoint.